عدم ميلي بيا في عدم ميلي نور شد بأمد ندونا لغ شربت أحدنا لغ شربت أحدنا علي سيد غسر ممنا بدوالي السيغ جابوني بدوالي السيغ جابوني
Greetings all, this is Ehav from the Chronicles of Ehav, and I'm basically going to do a film today based upon some of the questions I've been getting from different friends of mine about how safe it is in terms of traveling to Israel, especially right now everybody's hearing about the war that's being waged between us and against Hamas in Gaza, as you guys say, in the West. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that in terms of traveling to Israel, in terms of how safe it is even without this particular situation, but just on a regular basis, how safe is it for people to visit Israel, to travel to Israel, and basically see the sights. Okay, so in terms of the question of how safe is it for people to visit Israel, on some level this is a question that's pretty easy to answer, but it's a little complicated also. For the most part, I would say to anyone who would want to visit Israel, it's a safe place to visit. The thing is, you have to realize that much of the news that you're going to get in the West is going to be things that are of a spectacular nature, things that catch people's attention. For example, if a fireman here in Israel saves a cat out of a tree, that doesn't make international news, but if a terrorist does something, in Israel, or, if we have to, fight back, against terrorism, that makes international news, especially since anything we do to defend ourselves, basically brings on the condemnation of, many nations in the world. So, that's one thing to consider about, the source that you're getting your information from. Are they just more interested in spectacular news coming from, anything international? You also have to look at, in terms of the news you get, what is their international format to begin with? How much information do they really give you about the world to begin with, on a regular basis, regular things besides conflicts, wars, and things like that, grab people's attention. Okay, so getting back to Israel specific, I would say that Israel is a really safe place to visit. Sometimes it depends on exactly when you're talking about visiting. Right now, with the war that's going on between us and Hamas, for the most part, it's still safe. On some level, the way you have to look at it is the things you hear about, the terrorists that do things within Israel that hurt Israeli citizens. One way to compare it, and this is not an exact comparison, is to compare it to maybe like crime that you may find in, let's say, New York, or, the Bronx or something like that. That's one way to kind of look at it. Another way to look at it is, when these conflicts aren't happening. For the most part, I would say that it's safe. It's just that, in any place that you go in, anywhere in the world, even in the United States, you always have to be vigilant, because there are just weird people out there. Here, there are certain places that I would never go, specifically some of the towns that are like Arab towns. There's not, for me, enough information that I would have to know specifically that I'm safe, in every single Arab town. Jewish towns, of course I'm safe, there's no problem for the most part. But the difficulty here, in Israel in terms of dealing with, us as Jews dealing with Arabs is, you don't really know who you can trust. There are people who have great relationships with Arabs that they live around. And, there's a number of Arabs that, I've dealt with that I have good relationships with and, I'm okay with. The difficulty you have is that you just don't know, in some cases if it's just a front, and if it's just, a matter of gaining trust. So it's an issue. It's not a major one, but it's an issue that, a person has to consider. But it's more for us living here than it is for someone who's visiting. Okay, so in terms of what you hear about terrorism, when I first came to Israel years ago, one of the fears I had was getting on a bus, just because in the States, all you hear about is, bus attacks, this and that. I remember the first time I actually got on a bus in Israel, I was like shaking in my boots. I was looking at everyone on the bus suspiciously. And, over time, you get kind of used to dealing with it. There hasn't really been a lot of bus attacks since I've been here. I mean, there may be like one that I know of where there was an Arab from East Jerusalem who took a construction vehicle and basically attacked a number of cars and buses with it. That's pretty much it since I've been here, and I've been here since July 2007. I have a car, so I predominantly drive, as you can see. So in terms of that regard, I mean, I don't know that many people who've ever been on a bus that's been attacked, so it's not that common. It just depends on what the political situation is at the time. And even then, it's like people may be scared to kind of go on the bus, but, they have to, and they deal with it. In terms of other stuff, like right now, even with this war, there isn't like, every single moment in every single place something happening. Like I say, you have to kind of look at it the same way you would look at crime in any, place. So that's something also to consider. I know some people who I was talking to once, and they were saying they would love to visit Israel, but they want to wait till it's safe. This is kind of a difficult situation because, to consider if you're looking at, making a trip here, because when you say safe, you have to question what does that really mean. As I said before, Israel's pretty much a safe place to visit. We have military security. Not to say that it's all perfect, but for the most part, it's a safe place. If you're looking to come to Israel when there's no conflict whatsoever, if there's like peace between us and the Arabs, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So you may never ever get here. So what I would suggest is that you simply, depending on what your faith system is, just simply pray about it, and make a decision that, okay, this is when I'm going. If God is watching over you, you have to kind of consider that, you'll be okay, but this isn't like, us shooting at Arabs and Arabs shooting at us like 24 hours a day. It's not like that, people go to